Hey guys, Josh from SoccerReviewsForYou.com, bringing you an unboxing plus on-feet video of the brand new Puma evoPOWER 1 in the leather upper variation. Now inside the box, all you get are the shoes themselves. They do not come with any extras. So let me get these out of the box really quickly. And if you guys could take a second to leave a like on the video, it would be greatly appreciated. So here is a look at the all-new leather evoPOWER 1. The evoPOWER 1 as a whole has had a very successful launch. People are very excited about the shoe, and it performs really well too. It's a unique design concept that feels absolutely fantastic. At this point in time, I would even go as far as to say that the evoPOWER 1 would be one of my go-to shoes if you asked me to pick something to wear right now. There's actually a playtest video of the evoPOWER 1 that I did not too long ago. If you want to check that out, I will leave an annotation on screen. But this is, of course, the first leather upper variation evoPOWER 1 that the world has ever seen. And to a certain extent, I'm kind of confused by this release because the leather upper, while I'm sure it will perform well, more or to a certain extent contradicts the design concept behind the evoPOWER 1 and how it's supposed to perform. But we'll get into that more later in the video. In terms of colorways, this is the only color we've seen so far in the leather evoPOWER, and as you can tell, it's more or less a blackout color. Everything on the shoe is black. You don't have any of the fancy graphics here going around the outside. It still does look fairly unique because you can still see the AccuFoam pads, which seem to be a little bit more prominent on the leather upper variation than they are on the synthetic one. And you still have this kind of rounded off circle pattern going along on the outside, kind of just a glossy finish on top of the leather itself. The only piece of synthetic you're going to find is right here on the instep, which is kind of a firmer, stiffer synthetic, just like you'll find on the synthetic upper variation. It's just to provide that nice support here on the medial side of the shoe, and the tongue itself is also made from a synthetic material as opposed to being full-blown leather. It's pretty much the exact same tongue, again, you're going to find on the synthetic upper variation. In terms of other colors you're going to find on the shoe, there's kind of like a lime green, highlighter yellow evoPOWER logo right there, an evoPOWER logo right here on the tongue, and then the only other color you'll find is going to be in the evoPOWER branding there on the insole itself. So that's pretty much the only non-black area of the boot. So for the most part, this is what I would consider to be a blackout. Now, in terms of tech specs and what you need to know about the shoe itself, it is of course a leather upper, and from what I can tell, pretty much the entire upper is leather, like I mentioned, apart from the tongue and this little strip right here on the medial side. Not too big a deal. The leather itself is a calfskin leather. It seems to be decent quality. It's not what I would consider to be the cream of the crop in terms of leather quality. It's very similar to the calfskin leather you're going to find on the current Puma King model that released in 2013. Not a very popular shoe, and honestly a little bit of a disappointment as far as King models are concerned. But for the evoPOWER 1, I think that they've implemented the leather in a decent way. There's plenty of it, and the quality, like I said, feels pretty good. It's what I would say is pretty much on par with any of the leather F50 Addy Zeros from Adidas, which is a quality of leather that I think a lot of people are happy with. And if you're looking for a decent leather shoe, this definitely seems to fit the bill. The leather quality, like I said, not the best, but not bad by any means. Now, that obviously replaces the Adapt-Lite synthetic, which is kind of, like I said, slightly contradictory to the overall performance and design of the evoPOWER 1, which is why I'm super curious to see how these are actually going to feel. One of the features of the thin Adapt-Lite synthetic on the original evoPOWER 1 is that it has that one-way vertical stretch synthetic. So when you bend your foot back, the shoe has that natural flexibility about it. You're not going to get that natural stretch, that one-way vertical stretch from the leather upper like you would out of the Adapt-Lite synthetic. So for that reason, I can already tell you that the evoPOWER 1 in leather is not going to be nearly as flexible as a synthetic upper variation, so please keep that in mind. This is going to be more of a traditional experience versus that synthetic model, which I guess isn't all that surprising when you consider this is a natural material versus a synthetic material. Now, what they have kept on the upper, which I'm kind of curious to see how it's going to feel, are of course the AccuFoam pads that I already mentioned, and they seem to be a little bit more prominent on the leather. That may just be because you have that little bit of extra padding from the leather as it is, and then you add this padding on top. So I'm not sure if it's going to have a bulky feel. It doesn't appear that way, but it definitely is very interesting, and I'm curious to see what the shooting experience is going to feel like in this particular shoe, as you're going to have the soft cushion of the leather along with the soft cushion of the AccuFoam pad. So can't wait to use these for that particular reason. Same off-centered lacing system, ultra thin kind of synthetic tongue, but it's still nice and soft. And then you have these little memory foam pods here on top on the top and then towards the bottom of the tongue as well, just to cut down on any kind of lace bite. Really nice innovation from Puma in my opinion. It does have a lower cut in the heel area, and you still have this kind of like rubber hollowed out area that is really flexible as well. Again, leading into the whole concept of flexibility behind the evoPOWER 1 itself. The liner itself is nicely padded and it's made from a synthetic leather material. It does not have the same kind of dimpled texturing as what you're going to find from the synthetic upper variation. So again, there may be some minor differences in terms of feel and comfort going from the synthetic to the leather upper variation, but that's not too big of a surprise. In terms of the insole itself, it is identical. It's got a mesh liner on top. This one is black in color. It's made from one layer of thin black foam, and then you have this perforated yellow foam in the forefoot as well as in the heel. Really decent insole, plenty of underfoot cushioning, and really does provide a nice comfortable feel when you put the shoes on your feet. In terms of the sole plate and the stud pattern, nothing has changed coming from the synthetic to the leather upper variation. It features the same gradual stability frame where it's a little bit stiffer through the midfoot, but very, very flexible through the forefoot area. It's made from a thin Pebax material, and this is of course the firm ground stud pattern. So you're going to have your 4-bladed studs in the heel, your 3-bladed studs in the forefoot, which act as your stability studs. Actually a really good point of pushing off when you're making hard lateral cuts. And then your 4 fairly aggressive, fairly narrow profile conical studs at the tip that act again as really good push-off points for accelerating and making quick little twists and turns when maneuvering out there on the field. So overall, really, really good stud pattern. Definitely a very interesting sole plate. And again, the concept of flexibility remains here with this super thin Pebax sole plate on the evoPOWER 1 leather. So that's pretty much it as far as tech specs are concerned. And move on next to a quick weigh-in so you can see how lightweight these guys are. Since leather tends to weigh more than most synthetics, it shouldn't be too much of a surprise that the leather evoPOWER 1 weighs more than the synthetic upper variation. So I'm going to weigh this pair for you today in real time. Keep in mind this is a brand new pair in a size 9.5 US. Going to throw it on the scale, and you can see that these guys weigh in at 7.95 ounces, pretty much right at that 8 ounce mark. And for comparison's sake, the synthetic upper variation tends to weigh in the same size, around 7.5 ounces. So there's about a ½ ounce difference between the synthetic and leather upper variations, with the leather one weighing just a little bit more. It's not a significant amount of weight. It's not something that I would say is going to be super noticeable on your feet, but I'm sure that the fit and overall feel of the leather versus a synthetic definitely will be different. So again, it's more a matter of personal preference when it comes to whether or not you'd rather have a synthetic upper that's going to be a little bit thinner or a leather upper that's going to be a little bit more padded, as opposed to picking one over the other because one is lighter. Because like I said, the weight difference is not significant enough to, like I said, base your decision off of. So that's pretty much it as far as the weight is concerned, and move on next to a quick on feet so you can get a better idea as to how these shoes fit and what the sizing is like. Alright, here's a look at the leather evoPOWER 1s on feet, and I must say that I love the look of this Blackout colorway, but that's besides the point. In terms of the overall fit, it's definitely a similar shape to what you're going to find from the synthetic evoPOWER 1, but again, the leather upper doesn't have that elasticated, slightly stretchy quality that you're going to get from the Adapt-Lite synthetic on the standard evoPOWER 1. So for that reason, the leather upper variation definitely feels like more of a traditional soccer shoe, whereas the standard evoPOWER 1, like I've mentioned in many of my videos, has a very, very unique fit and feel about it. So again, if you want something with the evoPOWER 1 design, but not necessarily something that's going to be too off the wall in terms of overall feel, something that you may be a little bit more comfortable with if you're used to wearing more traditionally styled leather soccer shoes, the evoPOWER 1 in leather may be a really good choice. But if you're looking for something that is really futuristic, off the wall, and very modern, the standard evoPOWER 1 definitely seems to be the way to go. So in terms of overall width, I would say that it's a fairly snug shoe from right out of the box, not overly wide by any means, and it's kind of tough to say how much they are going to stretch. I would assume a fair amount, considering that the entire midfoot, forefoot, and toe box area is made from natural calfskin leather, which seems to be pretty soft, so I'm sure you will get some stretch out of it. But again, if you have excessively wide feet, this may not be the best option for you. In terms of sizing, it's exactly the same to the standard evoPOWER 1. Normally I'd wear a size 9 US, but I found that these run about a half size small, so I bumped up to a 9.5, and the fit and the length is absolutely perfect. So if you are looking to order a pair of evoPOWER 1s, whether it be the synthetic or leather upper variations, I would strongly recommend going half a size up. Alright guys, that's it for my unboxing of the leather Puma evoPOWER 1. Can't wait to try these out. I love that they launched the shoe in a blackout colorway. It's not something you see all the time. And for the most part, it's a very interesting concept. I think the evoPOWER 1 as a whole is a proven performer. But when you add this leather upper variation, it changes the dynamic of the shoe pretty significantly in comparison to that synthetic variation. So again, very curious to see how these are going to perform. I can't imagine that they're going to be too far off from a standard pair of high quality leather soccer shoes with a slightly modified feel with those AccuFoam pads. But again, only time will tell, and that's why I test them in the first place. So stay tuned for the full written review, which should go up in the next couple of weeks. Going to get to testing these right away. So if you guys want more information, again, the next couple of weeks is when that full written review will go up. But in the meantime, if you want to check out that review page right now, the link will be down below in the description, and you will find the high quality images of this shoe that'll give you a better idea as to how it actually does look in person, along with buy it now links with the best prices online, including exclusive SR4U coupon codes, allowing you to pick these up below the retail price. So be sure to go ahead and check that out if it interests you at all. If you have any questions regarding this particular shoe or any suggestions, I'm sure a lot of you guys are probably going to suggest a leather evoPOWER and synthetic evoPOWER comparison. That will be on the way once I get some testing time in the leather pair, so stay tuned for that. If you enjoyed today's video, be sure to support it with a like. Subscribe if you haven't already for daily videos on all the latest and greatest soccer gear. You can find all of my social media information linked down below in the description as well. And other than that, guys, hope you enjoyed today's video, and as always, thanks for watching.